told you I wouldn't come back up here unless Bill Shatner was in the house. Before we start, I really want to do this from my heart. A week ago, we lost somebody that I love very much in the science fiction community here in Salt Lake City. Rather than a moment of silence, I want to hear a moment of cheer in the memory of Ruth Burns. Without further ado, a man that you've all moved seat by seat by seat to see. Ladies and gentlemen, my captain, William Shatner.
That's the worst gas I've ever seen. That's terrible. Oh dear. What am I going to do now? Yeah, okay. Okay. Is this all pre-planned? That is the dumbest thing I've ever done. Please sit down. Let's get acquainted. I've been waiting to talk to you and say hello. There's so many of you. It's great. So listen, I don't even know what to start, where to start.
We love you, Bill!
No, I love you too. And if I could see you, I might even love you more. Where to start? So, I used to come to Salt Lake City all the time. I skied here a lot. I used to stay at the Salt Lake City Hotel. Is that it? The Salt Lake, you know, the old one that the church has taken over.
Hotel Utah.
And drive out to all the areas and ski the powder. I was quite a skier. In fact, it was here. It was on one of the mountains here that a guy skied up to me. This was about 6-7 years after Star Trek. And everything, you know, I was doing other things. This guy skis up to me and he says, "Have you seen that bar down at the bottom of the hill? They're playing something from Star Trek." What could they be playing from the series I was done with 6 years ago? And they said, well, so I went down there and they were playing the comedy, the outtakes, which was and I'm looking at this guy at the bar. Has got it on a loop, and I'm looking like an idiot, walking into those doors and bouncing off of them, and it was then that I thought, I wonder why they're doing that. Is it possible that Star Trek could come back to do something? Because there were some rumors, and it was after that moment that all that activity about whether it should be another series, another movie, that became a lot of movies, and I made some of them. So. And another interesting moment in Utah for me was the year before I did, before Star Trek went on the air, I had done another pilot called Alexander the Great, and we shot at St. George, and I had to do 3 people from St. George. We know they mustn't be allowed in Salt Lake City. And I had to ride a stallion, a big black, coal black stallion. I had to ride him bareback, because that's what the Greeks did. Oh, it hurt so much. And I had a sword, and I had the horse in one hand, the sword in the other, and it was a big deal. The series never sold. But during that year, a famous playwright by the name of Norman Corwin had written a play for me, and we opened that play at the University of Utah. During that time, they had world premiere. They were premiering new plays for a while at the University of Utah, and then those plays either died or went on. Our play was going to Broadway, and we were opening the world premiere in Salt Lake City at the University of Utah, and we had the Broadway house booked. We're on our way. Norman Corwin, famous. I got a phone call. You can't go to Broadway. You have to appear in the series pilot that you made, and we picked it up, and we're starting this year. The name of the pilot was called Star Trek.
Woo!
And that are 2 of my occasions in Salt Lake City and in Utah, besides the great fun I've had skiing the hills here, walking the Wasatch Mountains, and that kind of thing. So, what I thought we would do is I would take questions from some of the people. You got a microphone here? Are you a questioner person, or are you just looking beautiful? You can't help but look beautiful. Are you a question, or are you like guiding people? You're guiding people. And are those the people that are asking questions? No. So we don't have anybody asking questions.
Can you hold this?
But you're still beautiful.
Do you mind?
Not quite as bright as I wanted to be, but are you? No, I'm only joking. Because beauty and brains go somewhere. Are you a question person? You got a question. All right, here's what you do. You get right close to the microphone. No, even closer. Even closer. Come on the side of the microphone. No, more. Go right up into the microphone. You're closer. Right here. Yeah, but chew it. Chew it. Chew the microphone. There you go. Yeah, now speak.
Okay, how are you?
But you're not chewing the microphone. No, I'm speaking to It's the altitude, and it gets it. Lack of oxygen does that. What's your question? No, get closer to the microphone.
Okay, can you hear me?
Now I can.
Okay, good. So I was the one that asked you last night about the Big Bang Theory.
About the Big Bang Theory.
Yeah, and I just had a follow-up question.
A follow-up question. This gentleman asked me about why don't I do the Big Bang Theory.
Yeah, and you said last night that you were going to call them Monday.
Yes.
So are you really going to?
No, I'm not going to. Of course I'm going to. I'm a man of my word. See, the question I have is, how many of you were here last night? Let me put it this way. How many of you weren't here last night? Okay, okay. Last night, this young man who was chewing the microphone then and not now, I don't understand, asked me why don't, because they've asked me a number of times, do the Big Bang Theory. And I said, well, I don't, a half-hour series, I'm an actor, I don't, and should I? And a lot of people applauded. In fact, a lot of people got up and cheered that I should do it. And I said, yes! Well, I mean, if that's the majority opinion, I'll call the producer, whom I know, on Monday morning and say, hey, if you want me still, and you pay me a great deal of money, I might, because I was urged by the audience in Salt Lake City. it'll be a fun experiment when this guy tells me to buzz off, you know. No, we don't want you. Turn it down, no, we don't want you. I don't care what Salt Lake City did. But I will ask on Monday morning, I will call. Hi, beautiful, how are you? Your beauty and brains shine through. It's obvious to me. To the microphone.
Hi, I'm one of the three from St. George, so.
You're one of the three from Lake George?
So you're welcome.
Is Lake George a retirement community, or is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is a retirement community. So a lot of old folks there?
Yeah.
Yeah, would I fit in?
Yes.
Yes, I would fit in. Okay.
Did
What's
you
your
get me on
question?
video?
I'm not coming to
I'm
St. George.
prospecting.
You can't. I don't care what this crowd says.
So do you have any advice for actors being in comedy?
Advice for actors being in comedy.
Yeah, in film, like.
In film comedy. So by that you mean, how, if you're an actor, how do you get into comedy, sort of thing? Right? Is that what you?
No, not getting into it. I mean when you're on set.
Oh, you mean like if it were me, and what am I doing? If it's funny? I try to avoid picking my nose, because that's not, well, here's the deal. There are people, if we're taking a series, for example, a funny series, there are people who are hired, who usually, the usual form is, these writers are hired, and they all go into a room. Well, it's a room the size of a big bedroom. And they got couches and chairs and people who are typing. And these maybe half a dozen people, men and women, start thinking, talking out loud about what would be funny if their characters in the series would do X, Y, and Z. It's called a writer's room. They write, and they write, and they write, and then they get a rough draft. Then the producer sees it, he says it's not good enough. And then he says, go back into the writer's room. So the writer's room becomes both a playpen and a prison for these writers. Because they've got to go and be funny. So finally they emerge with what they think is funny, what the producer thinks is funny, and then what the director thinks is funny. Okay? I did, for a year, I did a half-hour series called Bleep My Father Said. Okay? Half-hour series, written by the two guys who did the red-haired girl and the gay guy. Will and Grace. So this team, yeah, see, I know that's what you do. You rely on the audience for help, you know. So Will and Grace. So they had a major success with Will and Grace, and they wanted me to play this part. And so these guys and the writers they hired would do these, make these scripts up. Then they'd give it to me, and then I would try to do, at a reading, we would try and make it as funny as possible, but yet not lose sight of the humanity. Well, that balance of humanity and comedy is what seems to be what attracts people to these half-hour comedies. You want it to be funny, you want to laugh, but you want to feel for the people. But that balance is what Hollywood tries to do, and in my case, we didn't achieve the balance of humanity. These guys, the Will and Grace people, were so funny that they got lured, seduced by the joke, and not by the relationships. And we think that was why it was canceled after the first year, that the relationships weren't there. So, what does an actor do when doing comedy? What you're doing, what you should be doing is not be doing comedy, you should be thinking, how does this relate to the people you talk to? How can you make it more human, and thusly more genuinely funny, and the audience would react to it. So that's what an actor does. Actually, I don't know what people do when they're funny. I just sort of made what I said up. No, that's how it is. That's what you would. Hello. How are you?
I have liked you ever since I can remember. but I fell in love with you when you were in Boston.
When I was in Boston.
Please say those 2 words that all women love to hear.
Love you. See you later.
That's 3.
That's 3. Later, baby. Baby, later. You and me. What? That's 3 too. You, me. That's 2. Next question.
One of my favorite episodes of Saturday Night Live is when you hosted in 1986.
Yes.
So what was it like with Kevin Nealon as Spock? I forget his name.
Are you trying to remember something?
Yeah.
Don't look to me.
Guy played the bones.
What are you trying to remember?
What was it like with the Saturday Night Live cast?
Get a Life? Is that you're trying to remember Get a Life? I'm trying to help you, man, but
At the start of the Restaurant Enterprise, when it was the Saturday Night Live, but it was Kevin Nealon was a Spock.
Oh, they did a sketch. I wasn't there. I don't know. I thought that you may have been referring to the sketch I did some years ago, in which we kind of kidded the people coming to a convention and saying, "Get a life."
That was a little sketch, but yeah, it was,
All right, so
Marriott Corporation.
you've had your time. The question now is, how good is his memory? I think that's the question. But this sketch he's referring to, I think he's referring to, about Get a Life, has an interesting sort of sequence of events. So the phrase I said in the sketch that reverberated was to get a life. And then the question was, how alienated, did I anger people? Of course, it was just done in fun. But some years later, I'm in front of an audience like this, and while I'm trying to be entertaining and informative and connect with you, I'm thinking, who are the people? Why are they here? Why are you here? What brought you on this beautiful Saturday afternoon to sit in an audience and listen to this actor?
Free candy!
Okay. It was a rhetorical question, I didn't mean. So I wrote a book in which I went into the audience in disguise. I go, the individual came in the bear suit. I would get into like a bear suit, okay? And I'd go up to people that were in line, and I'd say, why are you here? And they'd say, Shatner, is that you? Nothing I did. I got the most extravagant disguises, and nothing I did could disguise that they would find me out immediately. Anyway, so I asked a number of people what they were doing there. And even people, I asked a young man who was pathologically shot until he had this cat in his arms, dressed like Captain Kirk. And when he had this cat dressed like Captain Kirk, he would tell funny stories. Hey, you should have seen the one. And he, then he'd put the cat down and he'd put the cat up, and he'd be voluble. It was the most incredible transformation. He was there because it gave him courage to be sociable. Another lady, most strange person. She had multiple personalities, all of them startling. When she needed advice, out comes Spock. When she talked like Spock. When she discussed something medically, she'd be DeForest Kelley. When she wanted to be handsome and rich, she would sing. strange people in the book. And the conclusion I came to in the book, Get a Life, is you come to see each other. You see old friends, and you bring up old acquaintances, and you see each other. You're there for the community. That's the conclusion I arrived at the book. And I thought, I thought they came to see me, but apparently they did. 2 years ago, I thought, I started to make documentaries 3-4 years ago. The Captains, I don't know whether you've seen them. And a whole host of other documentaries. I'm having great fun directing and acting and writing them and sort of. So I thought I'd make a documentary about who comes to the convention. So I started filming. And I thought I'd find out the same thing I did in the book. No. It got deeper. This is what I found out in the documentary, Get a Life, or we may have named it Fanatics. There were 2 people who bidding for it, so you may see it as Fanatics or Get a Life. But what I found out was, we're here because of mythology. We are part of a mythological explanation of science fiction, aliens, the future, the past, what the world is going to look like, what it might not, will it be there, will it not be there? It's mythological. We human beings are hardwired to seek explanations. They're in religion, they're in the variety of things that explain things that we think might be true. Mythology is the same thing. A Greek guy 2,000 years ago, 2,300-400 years ago, walking along, sees a giant bone that we now know is a dinosaur bone. They don't know. They look at the bone and they invent a whole mythology of a land of giants. That was their explanation. The demigods of giants that warred with the gods on Mount Olympus. We theorize came from them finding these big bones, because we human beings hardwired to seek an explanation for anything we can't explain. We're here right now. We're indulging in the ritual of mythology. It is far deeper than you think. You're wearing the costume. You're getting the autographs. You're taking the pictures. The ritual of mythology. So my documentary seeks to explain. But what a wonderful sort of community that we have. We're seeking the same explanation. I'm for it, yes. So that this term, Get a Life, was meant as fun, also is a form of, hey, we're a community. Get a life like the rest of us are getting a life. Hey, you don't come to Comic-Con, come to Comic-Con, have some fun. Get in the ritual. Okay, next question. Where am I? Here?
This side.
Yes.
You had the first interracial and interspecies kiss on television. What was some of the ramifications from that kiss?
What do you want to know? I mean, her lips were moist. Is that what you want to know? She breathed very quietly, but it came from deep within her. What else do you want to know, you psychopath?
What was the 1960s reaction to...
Congratulating me? What did you say?
No, the 1960s reaction to...
Oh, the reaction?
Yes.
Oh, I was overwhelmed. No, I had kissed a girl or two before, so no, it was extraordinary. We weren't unaware of the fact that Michelle was African American, but she's a beautiful lady, and it was a pleasure to embrace her. And they got some reaction in the South, a little bit here and there, not terrible, but over the years that's changed, and it's all go. So yes, there was some controversy over that kiss, but not a great deal. And since then, it seems to have worked out very well.
Other than
Star Trek, I saw you on a couple episodes of Alfred Hitchcock, and I was just wondering what it was like to work with him.
He was at the latter time of his career, and it was very, very strange. Alfred Hitchcock, for those of you who might not know, was a great director of, what would you say, horror films, of Of suspense. Perfect. Thank you so much. Can I rely on you for future information? A great director of suspense. Give me some of the names of his movies.
The Birds.
The Birds.
Psycho.
What? Rear Window. Psycho. Okay, so you got the idea. So now, this whole group of people that surrounded Alvin Hitchcock decide they're going to do a television series. So they write these half-hour, were they half-hour or hour? They were hour. They start writing an hour series called the Hitchcock Half Hour, wasn't it? No, Hitchcock Hour, okay. And I got hired to do, I think, more than one.
Yeah.
Yes? Yeah, okay. One of the functions and the beauty of getting older, as I guess getting old, is memory fades. And all the terrible things fade, and the good things sort of remain, and that's your life. So, I worked with Alfred Hitchcock, the great director, but he was so meticulous. He had designed his films like an architect. There was one film he made from a stage play called Rope, in which he gave himself the task, and I don't know why, that he wouldn't edit his film. In those days, the Mitchell camera had enough film for 12 minutes, like 11 minutes. So each one of his shots for that movie, they rehearsed and rehearsed and rehearsed. He would dolly in, he would dolly out, he would move into close-up, he'd back up into wide shot. He never cut for every 12 minutes. And then he'd go into a door, or he'd go into a chair, and it would go to black, and that would be his edit point. Then they would put more film in the camera, rehearse the next 12 minutes, which could take a week, and they move this camera, called the look. He plotted like architecture. His shots, what they would look like, where they came, was very mechanical. So that was his skill. He was a very mechanical director, and he directed his actors like that. Step over here, 3 steps, put the glass down there, and you were like an automaton. It didn't give the actor the sense of creativity, but you were a pawn in a master's game, chess game. Good. A pawn in a master's chess game. Okay? All right.
Hello there, Mr. Shatner.
Hello there. You got something wrong with your face, right?
Oh yes, I've been through many burn traumas.
Turn around and let people see you there. Is that a great makeup? That's a great makeup.
Thank you very much.
Did you do it?
Yes, I did
Have you got
I did the front piece myself.
Yeah.
And my mom had to help me with the back.
Your mom helped you?
Yeah. I'm one of those
See,
guys.
mom is good. Mom, you're one of those?
I'm one of those.
You're at home,
Yeah.
living with mom.
I can't help it. I
And
work
you
at
say, Mom,
UPS.
can you put my makeup on? And she says, okay.
Yeah, it's okay. They all need happy to do it for you.
Did you use any Kleenex? Did you paste glue
Oh,
Kleenex?
yes, it's tissues with latex.
Tissues with glue on.
Yeah.
That's what we did in Star Trek. There's one show, and I've forgotten the name of it, but you'll tell me the name of it, where we all age. The Deadly Years. Thank you very much. Are you Googling stuff, or do you got it in here? Holy cats. So, old age makeup back then. Now, they use rubber and all that kind of thing. But back then, they crumple up Kleenex and then glue the Kleenex. and then paint, the Kleenex. She had Kleenex all over you. You know.
Yeah, I play old school.
You did old school?
Yes.
You got rubber?
It's rubber.
No, but Kleenex.
Kleenex.
Oh, it looks great. What's your question?
My question is, I have a lot of downtime at work, and all of that.
You have a lot of downtime at work?
Yeah. I work at UPS, so we mess around a lot.
Is it true that any size box? I mean, that is UPS or is that FedEx?
That's UPS. I was
I
wondering,
get them mixed up.
we play a lot of practical jokes on each other. I was wondering if you did that to each other on Star Trek with with your co-stars.
No, DeForest never played any practical jokes. He was a Southern gentleman. And Leonard, didn't play any practical jokes either. That left just Sulu. So I would play practical jokes. Yes, I did play practical jokes. I especially love to play practical jokes on Leonard. He's very solid, you know, very serious man, a very wonderful actor, a wonderful friend, very serious. Subject to a good practical joke. You get somebody who's really serious, you're going to screw them up really good with a good practical joke. Details! Well, the one that comes to mind is lunch. You work from 6, 7 o'clock in the morning, and then you work to 8, 9 o'clock in the evening. The only time you can eat is lunch. So when the assistant director says lunch, everybody runs for lunch. Time to go. And then when we shot in those years at the Paramount Studios, our 3 stages, they gave us 3 sound stages, like about this size, and we had sets in them and everything like that. But they were way, way up, and the commissary was way down over here. And they gave us a half hour for lunch. So if they called lunch, you had to get down to the commissary. But not only that, you had to be like the first 10 in line, because if you got longer than that, the line took long. The half hour was over, you had to get back. They were very, very strict about leaving on time and getting back on time, because every minute is like $10,000, and they'll be very upset if you're not ready to work on time. So that half hour is very precious for those of us who wanted to eat. So, and I used to run track, and I played football. Leonard was a big, tall, and lanky guy, you know. So when they called lunch, in fact, by the time the guy had lunch, I was gone. I raced down there, and I got to the commissary boy, and by the time Leonard got there, I was on my way out. So Leonard bought himself a bike. And the guy would call, the first assistant would call, "La," and I was out. Leonard ran, got on his bike, pedaled his bike, got there before I did. He got there before I did. So one day, I brought a chain. And one of those locks, the American lock, they used to have an ad where somebody would shoot a .45 at the lock and it still wouldn't break. One of those unbreakable American locks. And I wound that chain around the bike and I put it against a fire hydrant and I locked it. And then the second assistant called, "Look!" And I'm out. Leonard's out. He jumped on his bike. He said, "Shatner, what are you doing with my bike?" I'm eating lunch. I don't answer that guy. So the next day, you can applaud later, or just hold it, I hope. He brings bolt cutters. And he cuts the chain. He beats me. The following day, I put his bike. Well, you know, in a studio like that, there's a lot of people who steal things. I didn't want Leonard's bike to be stolen. So I put it in my dressing room for safekeeping. Look. I'm out. Leonard's out. Where's my bike, Shatner? Leonard, it's in my dressing room. Goes to the dressing room to get his bike. I didn't tell him. I had my 2 Dobermans in the dressing room. It ended one day when I put the bike up in the ceiling. And I had the lighting guys train searchlights on it. And when they called lunch, the stage went black, the searchlights went up, and I said, "There's your bike, Nimoy!" Why are you standing on a chair?
Because I'm not tall enough for the mic.
Oh, I see. Get right close to the microphone so we can hear you.
Okay.
That's it. And speak very softly. No, yell at me so we'll hear it, so everybody will hear your question. With your little black hat on, you look great with that black costume on.
Well, I had a helmet, but I don't know where it went.
You had a helmet and you don't know where it went?
Yeah, I lost it when I sat down. And
I'll bet your dad is real happy about that one.
I was wondering, when you played Captain Kirk, you defeated a lot of Klingons. But do you think you could win a battle between war? You?
Absolutely! What are you talking about? Fight until they drop. Or maybe you gotta run. Let them run after you. You run until they get tired, then you turn around. And then you get them and you fight them and you cycle like that, get them and you put your neck up. Somebody find that young man's helmet!
Well,
It looks like you ought to get on your knee. Oh, there you go.
well, on behalf of all the people back in Ireland, we all say hello.
Closer to me. Say hello.
All the people back in Ireland want to say
In
hello.
Oregon?
Ireland! Anyway,
In Ireland, yes.
Ireland. I just wanted to get a fist bump.
Yeah, fist bump.
Thank you very much.
That's it?
And who would you have play you in a movie about your life?
Chris Pine. I was in your country a couple of years ago, and some of you may know, I love horses, and I ride horses. Woo! And so, one of the great joys, Ireland is the place where horses are. So my wife and I decided we'd see a little of Ireland by renting a horse and going around in the countryside. So we went to a rental stable, and we rented a couple horses, and the young lady who was renting the horses says, "I'll take you out on the trail." So we all got up on our horses, and I was on this huge Irish bay horse, and I got up on it, and immediately the gnats surrounded me, like that young man's black thing. The gnats all surrounded. I couldn't see. There were so many gnats. I couldn't breathe because they were in my mouth. Okay. And I said, the horse has attracted the gnats, because before I got up on the horse, there were no gnats. I said, the horse? She said, oh, yeah, that's terrible. She says, here, you take my horse, I'll take your horse. So I got off my horse and got on her horse. The gnats followed me. That's the worst country for gnats. Now, I'll tell you something else that happened to me. They have gillies there, right? Guys who show you where to fish and hunt. So there was a guy in the village, he was the gilly. And we said, we had fly fishing. You want to fly fish in Ireland? That's the place to go get rainbow trout or whatever it is they have there, salmon. He said, I'll show you. I'll take you where you want to go. So my wife and I carrying our fishing rods walking along the street, and we see a little spot, and there's a guy there. And our Gilly says, "Hey, George, how are you?" And George says, "I'm fine, Gilly, it's nice to see you, man. Good luck to you." And walk a little further along, and we see another guy. And he says, "Hey, Dick, it's nice to see you. How are you doing, man?" And Dick says, "Hey, Gilly, you haven't got anything yet, but finally we found a spot." And I cast out there, and I cast out there. My wife Liz cast out there, and no fish. After about an hour, I say, "Hey, Gilly, there's no fish here." He says, "Oh, no, there's no fish here." I said, "What? There's no fish?" He says, "No, there haven't been fish here in 20 years. I said, "Well, what are all those guys doing casting out?" He says, "Oh, well, we're members of Alcoholics Anonymous, and we come here for the relaxation of just casting out." The British, when they occupied Ireland, cut down all the trees for sailing ships. Okay? British. That's okay. That's all right. I'm Canadian, so I'm on good terms with the British. Yeah. So they occupy Ireland. They cut down all the trees. They make the wooden sailing ships that the Royal Navy was so proud of, and they cut down all the Irish trees. But they replanted other trees. Not the same kind of trees, but other trees, fast-growing trees. What happened was they changed the acid balance, the acid-alkaline balance of the streams, and in the last 50 years or so, the fish are like gone from Ireland. Even the salmon don't come up the streams anymore because it's too acid or alkaline. The new trees have changed the ecological balance of many of the streams in Ireland. So weird. Okay. Hello.
Bye.
Behind?
So I.
What do you got behind you?
What?
What have you got behind you?
My wings.
Oh, wings. Okay.
Yeah, I
Good.
made it myself.
They do.
Well, thanks.
But they're black.
But from what?
They're black wings.
No, that's.
Aren't you a little afraid of being followed by black?
I'm an angel. I don't have to worry about that.
But black angel. Does that worry you at all?
No, I'm good.
Run up and down here a little minute. Just let me see your black wings. So just take a few steps here.
You realize you're the only person I would run for, right?
Well, say that again.
You're the only person I would run for on command.
You and me, baby. Beautiful. I thank you for that.
So at Phoenix Comic-Con a couple months ago, Vic Mignogna premiered Star Trek Continues, the first episode, and he said he consulted with you on how to stay true to the original show, and I was wondering what you thought of the final product or their attempts to kind of stay true to the original versus the reboots. Please.
What did she say? Simply now.
Okay.
Slowly.
So Vic Mignogna.
Who?
He said he talked to you. He's a voice actor. He played Kirk in Star Trek Continues. It premiered a couple months ago.
Okay, I got you.
All right.
Yeah.
I was wondering what you thought of their efforts to stay true to the original story.
Oh, you want to know, that's the sort of, dare I say, a cheap version of Star Trek.
You can dare to say that, yeah.
I wouldn't say that to him, but don't tell him.
So I was wondering.
And you want to know how true the version is?
Yeah, I was wondering what you thought of it.
You know, I haven't seen it. Have you seen it?
I have.
And what do you think?
I thought it was pretty fantastic.
Well, so did I. No. Next question.
Bill, this will be the last question.
This will be the last question.
Aww.
I'm sorry. This better be a good question, boy.
I'll try. Boston Legal is my favorite TV show of all TV.
Thank you.
And I just would like, if you could share your best memory from filming Boston Legal.
Well, Boston Legal is my favorite, one of my favorite shows too. And the time I had with James Spader on that balcony was more fun than anything, and it was so well written by David E. Kelley, and James is such a wonderful actor. We had a great time. So those moments of that wonderful cast, Candice Bergen and Renee Aubergenois, and they were just wonderful. I had the best time. The only drawback for me was that studio was in rush hour, a 2-hour drive in rush hour to get to the studio. So if I was going to be there at 6 in the morning, I had to leave 4:30 in the morning. And getting back was another 2 hours. It was a 4-hour round trip if it was rush hour, unless we worked very early and worked very late, and then it was fairly clear. So when it was over, it was like one of the great jobs any actor could have, but the difficulty of getting to the place was so onerous, I kind of breathed a sigh of relief, although the next year, when I did Believe My Dad Says, I rode my bike to the studio. It was so close. So I had a couple of things going. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. It's been so... Thank you so much. Photographs and autographs coming up. I've got a new album, Ponder the Mystery, in early October. Look at WilliamShatner.com for webisodes of Brown Bag Wine Tasting. What else? And the Captain's Close Up is a unique look at those actors that you found very popular and wonderful. Take a look at that as well. Thank you so much.
Froggies, you're doing photo ops, and then you're signing autographs, photo ops at Froggies.
Yes. Photo ops at Froggy.
Right immediately after
Right
this.
now.
And then
Signing.
signing.
Thank you.
Much signing. William Shatner, everybody!